Hello there and welcome back to the Ultra Films channel. Today I am bringing you a theory video, and this is a theory that's been covered quite a bit and is semi-popularized, I'd like to believe, with fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. However, I wanted to put my own spin on it today and maybe shift the way we think about how the Infinity Stones were set up, and really could be a huge shift in how the MCU played out. Okay, so what theory am I talking about? I am talking about the theory where Odin goes out and collects the Infinity Stones. We see in his vault back on Asgard a fake mold, or at least that's what Hela called it, of the Infinity Gauntlet with the stones in it already. And so we only can wonder and assume if Odin actually went after all the stones, if he was successful at it, and really how far did he actually get. Now, the current theory suggests that Odin collected 5 of the stones potentially, or most of them, but ended up getting to the Soul Stone, realizing that there was a curse on it, that you'd have to sacrifice something that you love the most, and he wasn't willing to sacrifice the one thing that he loved it the most, was Hela, that he wasn't willing to sacrifice Hela, and so his quest ultimately wasn't successful, and that Hela was, upset at him for this, and that's why he had to banish her away, because she was too power hungry and wanted to control everything, and it just wasn't going to work with his new profound knowledge of and understanding of not everything is meant to be controlled. However, I have a new theory that runs along the same line, but actually I think that Odin did collect the Soul Stone. And obviously we know there is some sort of special power with the Soul Stone that connects you to this other world. We saw Thanos enter it and speak to young Gamora. We saw the deleted scene from Endgame where Iron Man goes back and talks to an older version of Morgan, so it has some sensibility of the world and what's going on with it. Now, to get into why I think Odin actually got the Soul Stone. One, maybe the most overlooked piece of evidence, is that the gauntlet inside the vault was complete, and it had all the stones filled in. Now, maybe they just wanted to do that as a little teaser. You can say what you want about it, but I think that kind of concludes that he got all 6 stones. The one thing that maybe doesn't make sense about this theory is that if he had all 6 stones, why on earth would he give it all up? I have something for that, but we'll wait till the end. So my thought is that Odin collects all these stones. He has this realization, like I said, I'll talk about, that it's not his right to control and demand the universe at his will, and he decides to split up the stones and hide them away in corners of the universe. Now, obviously, he hides the Tesseract on Earth. He obviously hides away the Tesseract in Tonesburg, which we see in Captain America: The First Avenger. He hides it in Yggdrasil, and a little piece of that. And the first person to get to it is the Red Skull, or the first person to ever go after and search for it. The other stones are kind of scattered around the galaxy. The Aether is underneath I don't even know where in Asgard that really was. I'd have to rewatch Thor: The Dark World to remember for sure, but it's underneath the temple. I don't really understand, but he hid that one there. He hid the Tesseract on Earth and the Soul Stone on Vormir. Now here's where this gets interesting. I think, just like Thor's hammer, Odin enchanted each one of the stones. Now you might say these are like cosmic energies that existed at the beginning of the universe. Those can't be altered. Well, I think they can be, and I think one of the very few people in the MCU who could alter them, if at all, would be Odin. It's not unlike him to do something like that. The evidence I have for it actually being enchanted is the Red Skull himself. Odin would have realized that these power-hungry urges to control the universe or to control anybody are horrible, and he doesn't want that. And ultimately, if somebody had those characteristics, he would not want them to pursue after the stones as he did, because they might not have the same empathetic realization he has down the road. So what he does is he enchants the stones, and so when Red Skull grabs the Tesseract and holds it in his hand for too long, the Tesseract reads the energy and the vibes, or whatever you want to call it, off of the Red Skull, knows with the enchantment to go, oh, nope, this isn't somebody we want, and teleports him to Vormir. A lot of people have thought that this is just the stone's way of knowing who's worthy, in a way. I think it's a bit deeper, and I think that Odin had something to do with it. Now, I could be reaching, but here's some more stuff. These enchantments could have gone even deeper than that, because of this realization that, again, I'm gonna get to it, that Odin had at the end. He puts also a second layer to it, that the stones can't be used to harm his children. So when Thor throws Stormbreaker at Thanos and Thanos aims all 6 of the stones at him, realistically, that should overwhelm the powers of Stormbreaker and Thor should be disintegrated. However, they don't. And yes, Thanos was just recovering from getting the 6th stone and being overwhelmed with all this power, but it would make a lot more sense if the stones were programmed not to hurt Thor. Again, could be a stretch, but it makes a lot of sense, because those stones should have realistically obliterated Stormbreaker altogether. The power of 6 stones aimed down at a axe should have destroyed it, but it didn't, because it was programmed by Odin in all of the stones not to. Now, you're probably saying, well, how come Thanos is able to collect and use the stones if he's so power hungry? That's where you're wrong again. Thanos wasn't power hungry. He was trying to create balance. And even though, he might take it a little bit far, he's not going out of his way to try and destroy and control the world. He's trying to alleviate it from pressures of overpopulation, which is, really not his job, but he made it his job. And in a way, he's not trying to control anything other than I guess you could say he's trying to control the balance of life and death overall, but he's not going out of his way to try and control a specific group of people or the rest of the universe. He's not seeking to conquer anything. And so that's why he's able to use the stones and collect them. Now, to finally get to the point why Odin would have given up the stones. Let's say he collected all 5 and then found the Soul Stone, because apparently that was the hardest one to find for Thanos, since only Gamora was knowledgeable enough to find it after years of searching. Let's say that's probably the case for the Soul Stone back when Odin was doing his search. Odin probably found the Soul Stone last, if we can all agree on that, put it into his gauntlet, and just like Thanos when he snapped, saw a version of his daughter. So the ultimate reason is, when Odin puts the Soul Stone into the gauntlet, it's the final completion, he goes into the Soul World, just like we saw with Thanos and Iron Man. And in the Soul World, he sees a version of Hela. It could even be the exact events happening from Ragnarok that have been set in motion by his actions, and that are predetermined. And he knows that he has messed up completely. And no matter what he does to change it, he can't alter Hela's life. And he just wants to protect his family to the best of his ability. And maybe he then uses the time stone or something like that to see the futures of Thor and Loki and see if there's any way that they can get a happy ending. And he realizes the only way that that can happen is if he gives up the stones and gives up this quest. Because you can best believe if he has all those stones in one place, that's going to make a lot of enemies. A lot of people are going to come straight for Asgard looking for that and cause a lot of damage, and the whole place is going to be just this giant war zone over the stones. That could be celestials, all these powerful beings coming after Odin and his family. And he probably decided, that is not what I want for my family. That's not what I want for anybody. And so he decided to go out, put the stones into random places in the universe, and hide them away as best as he possibly could. And that's why we get the framework of the MCU and the Stone Hunt in the Infinity Saga as we know it, because of Odin and his actions when he had collected all the stones. Now, again, this is all speculative, but I really like this theory that I've come up with. I don't know if anybody else has come up with something similar to this in any way, shape, or form. I'm not trying to steal anybody's videos. I just thought of this as we've been rewatching some of the old MCU movies. We watched Captain America and Thor, and I'm piecing these things together and going, wait a minute, you know it'd be really cool is this. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this theory. Let me know if you want to, talk more about it in the future. Again, it's all speculative, but I think it's a pretty neat idea, and it could, Odin has a lot of foresight in the same way that Heimdall does. Maybe he knew everything that was going to play out and how it had to happen, just like, Doctor Strange saw all the futures. Odin's much more powerful than any of us really understand that only watch the MCU. In the comics, he's just a absolute monster, like top 5, top 10 power levels. I guess top 15 if you want to argue a couple other people, but super powerful dude. Out of all the characters in the MCU, if you're still in the top 15, like, that's pretty impressive. I guess I shouldn't say in the MCU, in Marvel Comics. But that's my video. Let me know if you want to see more of these. I come up with random stuff like this all the time, so I'd love to do more. Give us a like. Let us know what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode. Also, don't forget to go watch our Irresponsible Comic Book Podcast, where we do the same sort of goofy outrageousness that you saw in this video. And until next time, peace.